hip-hop is shaking again. And this time, it's not a whisper, it's a full-blown siren. Multiple sources claim that Kendrick Lamar's next drop isn't just another track. It's a cultural earthquake loaded, aimed and ready to rewrite the story of modern rap in one move. Rumors say the project contains layers of coded bars, industry-shifting features, and surgical strikes designed to dismantle narratives that have dominated for years. And at the center of the storm, Drake. Silent, watching, calculating, maybe panicking, maybe plotting. The chatter is deafening. This one ends the run. Blogs are on fire. Fans are polarized. Executives are sweating. Nobody knows the track list. Nobody knows the drop date. But everybody knows the truth. When Kendrick moves like this, something irreversible usually follows. Brace yourselves. This isn't music news. This is war disguised as rhythm, and hip-hop is already in chaos. #KDOTV's DRIZZY. Hashtag hip-hop. MeACCY. Hashtag hip-hop pincop. It always starts the same way in hip-hop. One tweet, one rumor, one beat played in the wrong room. And suddenly, the entire culture is leaning forward like a crowd before a knockout punch. This time, the whisper didn't come from a verified account or a flashy leak site. It came from the quiet corners. The insiders who don't speak unless something seismic is moving beneath the surface. Kendrick's cooking. One anonymous producer texted a mid-tier blog. And it's not just music, it's the move. At first, people brushed it off. Rumors orbit Kendrick Lamar like satellites. Some crash, some burn, some never existed at all. But then the temperature started rising. Engineers who hadn't worked with K. in years were suddenly unavailable. Studio bookings in multiple cities went dark. One session musician posted a cryptic story, just a photo of a notebook with the words, "Chapter closing." It disappeared in an hour, but not before screenshots turned it into gasoline. Within a day, blogs turned the spark into wildfire. At Rap Caviar hinted at something monumental. At Complex published a sly headline, "If what we're hearing is true, hip-hop's balance is about to tilt." Hashtags bloomed like weeds after rain. Hashtag KDOT returns. Hashtag end of the run. Hashtag lyrical Armageddon. And then the phrase that stuck. Hashtag hip-hop in chaos. Fans began treating the silence like sound. Every hour without confirmation was interpreted as proof. He's not denying it. One Reddit thread read, "That means it's real." Others noticed that Drake, usually quick to control a narrative, said nothing. No cryptic captions, no OVO affiliate teasing emojis, no friendly flex on Instagram stories. The absence itself became a story. And this wasn't just chatter. Behind the scenes, the machinery that keeps music moving began to feel the tremors. Playlist curators quietly adjusted schedules. Festivals reconsidered set orders. One tour sponsor reportedly called an emergency meeting. If this lands the way it's rumored, everything shifts. Ticket demand, marketing tone, even legal exposure. For Drake, the stakes were obvious. It wasn't just any name. It was the blueprint for commercial dominance in hip-hop's streaming era. His run wasn't a season. It was an architecture. To end Drake's run isn't to beat him on the charts for a week. It's to rewrite the metrics of what winning looks like. It's to challenge the very infrastructure that elevated him to near untouchable status. That's why these whispers cut deeper than normal beef talk. They weren't about diss tracks or petty jabs. They were about dismantling legacies carefully, intentionally, maybe permanently, by nightfall on day one. The internet was a battlefield dressed as a carnival. Memes laughed, threads dissected, podcasts speculated, YouTubers lined up reaction thumbnails like digital soldiers waiting for the drop. But buried beneath the noise, you could feel it, a strange quiet in the industry. It's the kind of quiet that means powerful people are suddenly choosing their words very carefully. Even other artists went dark. A few brave ones posted vague warnings. This, summer gone, be remembered. At JCOLEOFFICIL, silence before a shift. At NAS, some drops don't just stream. They restructure. At Rhapsodej post, intentionally or not, poured more gas on an already roaring fire. Meanwhile, a voice memo leaked allegedly from a studio runner in which someone could be heard saying they're not making an album. They're building a case. Fans tore the clip apart like evidence, speculating whether it referred to lyrical dismantling or legal leverage. Some believe the next drop might carry coded references to contracts, royalties, even private deals that could embarrass entire corporations. By the end of 24 hours, what started as a whisper now felt like the beginning of a cultural earthquake. Fans weren't asking if anymore. They were asking when. One thing was undeniable. The energy around Kendrick Lamar had shifted from curiosity to inevitability. And in hip-hop, inevitability is a dangerous force. It bends everything around. Competitors adjust, labels panic, and fans turn hungry. As one old-school DJ wrote in a now-viral tweet, "This ain't hype. This is structural tension, the kind that changes careers, maybe even eras." Mark the date. This is how chapters close. 4. Drake's silence might have been strategy. Or it might have been shock. But to the outside world, it read as vulnerability. And vulnerability, real or imagined, is all a great strategist needs to strike. And Kendrick Lamar, he stayed invisible. No tweets, no sightings, no interviews. Just the feeling of a shadow moving where no cameras could see. The kind of movement that doesn't beg for attention because it already owns it. Every hour the drop didn't come. The story grew bigger than the drop itself. And that's the art inside the art, when anticipation becomes its own weapon. And every second of waiting becomes pressure on the competition's chest. Some fans joked, some fans prayed, but all of them knew whatever was coming next would not be normal. It wouldn't be safe, and it wouldn't leave the landscape the same. Top #KDOTVs DRIZZY. Hashtag hip hop in chaos, the drop that tens are on. At Kendrick Lamar, at Champagnew Poppy, at Complex, at Rap Caviar, at Billboard, at Genius, at HIPHOPDX by day 2. The industry wasn't just buzzing, it was trembling. The people who never publicly panic were suddenly sending off the record. Texts to journalists they hadn't spoken to in years. Label interns overheard executives on speaker calls using words like containment, strategy, and iffy names. Names were cook.fans. They weren't sleeping. Twitter, or X, depending on what you call it now, had become a 24/7 war room. Every photo of Drake was a clue. Every second of silence from Kendrick was treated like a coded message. This feels different. At RapGod247 tweeted, "It's not just hype, it's tectonic." That tweet hit 100K likes in 4 hours. Meanwhile, in private Discord servers, people claiming to be engineers, writers, even former label interns were dropping breadcrumbs. One post simply said, "Verse 3 changes everything." Another one claimed, "The feature list alone will make executives faint." Nobody knew if these leakers were legit, but that didn't matter. The psychology was already shifting. For Drake's team, perception was now the enemy. The man who had thrived by owning the narrative, bending culture around him like gravity, suddenly looked cornered. And the internet can smell fear like smoke before a fire. By noon, think pieces had started rolling in. Complex dropped a headline. If Kendrick's next drop is what we think, the Drake era might actually be at risk. Rolling Stone posted a more cautious take. Rumors fly. But Drake's legacy is safe for now. But blogs, like at No Jumper, at Akenix, and even at the Shade Room, were treating this like the Super Bowl of beef. Screenshots of DMs, cryptic emoji posts, and the occasional blurry studio pic became cultural currency. Then came the move nobody expected: radio silence from Drake's entire camp. Normally, OVO affiliates would troll, post cryptic bars, throw bait into the water. But now, nothing. No jokes, no shade. Just silence. And in hip-hop, silence is rarely peace. It's calculation or surrender, and nobody knew which. Some theorized Drake was preparing his own nuke, a counter track already in the works. Maybe even a preemptive strike. Others insisted he was being advised to wait it out and let the wave pass. But Kendrick's waves don't pass. They pull a leaked group chat allegedly between A&R executives. Went viral for one line: "If he brings receipts, we can't spin this." That single sentence lit up the internet. Fans started speculating what kind of receipts. Personal, business, cultural. Theories filled entire TikTok feeds. Some ridiculous, some disturbingly believable. Meanwhile, other rappers started choosing sides without even saying names. A Freddie Gibbs tweeted, "About to be a fun summer." A Pusha_T simply posted a chessboard emoji. At Cardi B dropped a single line in a no-deleted tweet. "Some crowns ain't glued on tight. Every move, every post." Every like became a battle position in what now felt like hip-hop's Cold War going hot. Then a mysterious Instagram story surfaced on a private account allegedly tied to one of Kendrick's producers. A photo of a hard drive labeled simply "The Last Run." It vanished in minutes, but screenshots multiplied like spores. Podcasts dropped emergency episodes. YouTube channels uploaded live reaction streams with nothing to react to yet. Twitch hosts streamed for 6 hours discussing a track that didn't even exist yet, because that's how deep the world now believed in its inevitability. One music lawyer, speaking anonymously to Billboard, said it plainly: "If what's rumored is even half true, this isn't just a diss. It's a dismantling." And labels hate dismantling because they can't monetize chaos. In the middle of this frenzy, an audio snippet leaked to 13 seconds, allegedly from Kendrick's camp. Just ambient studio chatter and one muffled line: "Don't pull yet. Wait till the 5th." Fans turned that single phrase into prophecy. Was the 5th a date? A reference to the Fifth Amendment? A coded nod to a 5th verse? Theories flooded Reddit like a dam had burst. The 5th started trending globally. At Kendrick Lamar wasn't online. He didn't like, didn't retweet, didn't even acknowledge the world he had just set on fire. And that silence became its own kind of dominance. Drake, meanwhile, looked human for once. Paparazzi caught him outside a restaurant in Toronto. No smiles, no OVO crew, just a baseball cap pulled low. It wasn't a bad look, but it wasn't the usual unbothered Drake either. Fans noticed memes multiplied, some sympathetic. Most not. By the end of day 2, something fundamental had shifted. Control of hip-hop's gravitational field. For over a decade, Drake had been the sun, everything else orbiting around his warmth, his charts, his hits. But now, Kendrick wasn't orbiting, he was pulling, and the culture was moving with him. And that's the thing about shifts like this. They're invisible at first, they happen in conversations, in energy, in how people talk about someone even before the music drops. Drake's name wasn't being spoken as inevitable anymore. It was being spoken as at risk. And in this game, where perception is both the currency and the weapon, that's often the first step toward actual DETHRONING. As one industry vet told at Hip Hop DX, you don't kill a run by outstreaming it. You kill it by turning the run into a question mark. And that's exactly what Kendrick had done, without a single bar released, without a single public statement, without even breaking a sweat. Hashtag KDOTV's DRIZZY, hashtag hip hop in chaos, hashtag the last run, hashtag the 5th. Kendrick Lamar at Champagne PAPI, at Billboard, at Rap Caviar. At HIPHOPDX at No Jumper by the start of day 3, the rumor had become religion. It wasn't a question anymore. It was prophecy. The streets, the forums, the barbershops, the TikToks all spoke as if the drop was no longer a maybe, but an inevitable judgment day. Screenshots of encrypted dimes circulated like holy texts. Blurry images of track lists typed in all caps. File names like run_end_final and crown_fall_master. None verified, all devoured. Threads on Reddit ran 10,000 comments deep, analyzing each syllable, each potential guest feature, each production rumor. Some fans zoomed in on audio waveforms from alleged leaks, measuring patterns like scientists analyzing alien signals. And Drake? His silence was starting to speak louder than words. For years, Drake had mastered the art of pivoting, dropping just enough of a bar, a laugh, a calculated shrug to keep control of any narrative. But this time, no story to control, no shade to deflect. The absence became the headline. At Hip Hop Numbers posted, "This is the longest Drake has gone without addressing a major cultural moment since Take Care." That tweet had 200K retweets. In under 12 hours, meanwhile, at Kendrick Lamar socials, stayed frozen. Not hacked, not cleaned, just still. His last post now felt like a coded warning. Timestamped watch this space for the obsessed dot. Then a live space on X went nuclear. Hosted by @Joe Budden, joined by @Academics, @Charlamagnethag, @Elliot Wilson. And for 10 chaotic minutes, a muted @SCHOOL BoyQ, just listening, laughing, occasionally unmuting to say, "Y'all not ready?" Over 600,000 people tuned in live. And in those spaces, theories became consensus. "It's not just a diss," Budden said. "It's a dismantle job," Academics added. "Nah, if it's really what I'm hearing, bro, Drizzy, gone. Have to rethink the whole rollout. Maybe even take a break." Then Charlemagne, in his trademark way, dropped the grenade. You know the funny part? It's not even about Drake. It's about everybody who let him cook for 10 years without smoke. Kendrick's not just swinging at him, he's swinging at the whole machine. That clip alone generated 3 million views in 3 hours. Back in Toronto, whispers surfaced that OVO's inner circle was split. Some wanted a preemptive strike drop first, shake the internet before KDOT could define the frame. Others wanted to ride it out, banking on fatigue, trusting in Drake's empire to weather storms the way it always had. But this storm wasn't like the others. This one was cold, precise, surgical dot, and then came the single MOJI dot at top DAWG end. Kendrick's longtime label tweeted a single. No caption, no link. Just the clock. The clock. The internet lost its mind. It's time. Countdown. Run is over. Theories stacked on theories. Some said the drop would hit midnight West Coast time. Others swore it meant 5 days left, referencing the 5th memes of Drake in medieval armor trended for hours. Meanwhile, streams of Kendrick's old catalog spiked 300% overnight. Playlists titled Pre-War KDOT and Study the King dominated Spotify and Apple Music trending sections. Even casual fans were now scholars, decoding 5-year-old lyrics for foreshadowing. But the real quake hit when a major verified squate. Journalist at NASKA Alexis tweeted, "Just got off a call with someone who heard it. What I was told is accurate. This isn't a track, it's an obituary." That single tweet broke the culture in half. Hip-hop veterans began calling. Friends, allies, people they hadn't spoken to in years. Executives scrambled. Contracts, PR statements, friendly fire, NDAs, all suddenly urgent. Some rappers went dark, fearing accidental collateral damage. Others, hungry for the moment, teased subliminals just loud enough to be noticed, but vague enough to deny. Even brands reacted. Sprite, Nike, Beats, companies that had worked with both artists, quietly paused scheduled social posts referencing either man. And all the while, Champaghnapa kept posting vacation pictures. ironically, became the most unsettling part. The smiling photos, the yacht selfies, the random vacation clips, either the ultimate bluff or the calm of a man who knows what's coming and knows there's no stopping it. Then another leak, this one more convincing. A 22-second clip, surfaced on a private audio forum, later reposted by @RapLeaks. Heavy bass, slow, controlled flow. A voice unmistakably Kendrick's. When the crown tilts, the kingdom shakes, but the truth don't break and the throne don't wait. Fans lost control. YouTubers went live instantly. Lyric breakdowns of a single line ran 40 minutes long. Rappers posted reaction emojis like they were war banners. Hashtag crown tilts started trending alongside hashtag the fifth and hashtag run is over. Music lawyers started talking out loud. If Kendrick named names, if he aired out internal deals, if he targeted cultural gatekeepers with receipts, the fallout wouldn't be just Drake. It would be everyone who'd ever been complicit, protective, or parasitic in the system that let Drake dominate unchecked. As one anonymous A&R told at Billboard, "We're not talking about beef anymore. We're talking about a controlled demolition." And that's when the chaos peaked. Single push notification from TDE's official app tomorrow. No time, no link. Just that dot, the world froze. Blogs exploded. Memes took over. Instagram stories were war rooms. Twitter Spaces hit 1 million concurrent listeners just speculating about what tomorrow meant. Hip-hop. Not a region, not a genre, but the entire cultural infrastructure was now in lockdown mode. Eyes wide, heartbeat collective dot, and somewhere in the quiet. The truth landed, whether the drop ended. Drake's run or not didn't even matter anymore because Kendrick Lamar had already done something far rarer. He made the whole game afraid again. Hashtag hip-hop in chaos. Hashtag KDOT V's DRIZZY. Hashtag crown tilts. Hashtag the fifth. Hashtag runes over at Kendrick Lamar, at Champic Nepopop, at Billboard, at No Jumper, at Rap Caviar Day. 4 didn't start. It erupted. The clock struck midnight Pacific, and without a warning tweet, without a teaser, without even a visual, the link appeared. No fanfare, no rollout, just a quiet upload titled The Last Run. Spotify, Apple Music title. Everywhere at once. Within minutes, millions were streaming. Discord servers crashed. Reddit threads locked. TikTok went nuclear. The first 30 seconds were chill, almost deceptively calm. A low piano loop. Kendrick breathing like a man meditating before execution. Then the beat dropped like a guillotine, and the world stopped breathing. Bar after bar, coded references turned into named names. Stories hinted at in interviews became exposes with dates and details. He didn't just throw shots. He read out addresses, receipts, screenshots, timelines. He wove cultural history into indictments, rewrote narratives into autopsies. He spoke of charts, how they were bought, how influence was weaponized. He spoke of ghostwriters, contracts, deals, and backrooms where loyalty and creativity were both sold like property. He called out those who covered, protected, inflated, or sabotaged. And yes, he spoke Drake's name. Not once. Not for sport. For documentation, and the wildest part, it wasn't angry. It was calm. No shouting, no ego, just precision. Like a surgeon operating while the patient's entourage watched through. Glass powerless. By verse 3. Twitter at X wasn't just trending Kendrick. It was crashing. Hashtag the last run. Hashtag KDOT. Hashtag Drake. Hashtag OVO. Hashtag the fall, all trending worldwide. Some posts hit 1 million likes in under an hour by the end of the track. A line stopped every listener cold. The king doesn't swing, he signs the order. The run ain't ended, it's archived. No hook, no outro. Just that line, then silence. Every rap beef lives on energy. Back and forth, escalation, tension. But this wasn't escalation. To his conclusion. Drake, if he responded, risked looking desperate. like trying to argue with a finished documentary. If he stayed quiet, he'd be seen as conceding, whether he meant to or not. The culture felt it instantly. This wasn't just music anymore. This was weight. Brands paused campaigns. Playlist editors reorganized entire moods. Podcasts were in emergency mode. Forums that had argued about GOAT status for a decade suddenly shifted tone. Not just who's better, but that might have been the last great swing anyone takes at the throne. By noon, the track had broken every streaming record. Apple Music servers buckled. Spotify put out a statement confirming historic demand spikes. Tidal dropped a push notification calling it the cultural moment of the decade. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. Tears, screams, silent nodding. Fans recording their own parents reacting to bars like Scripture. And in the quietest corners of the industry, lawyers, managers, label owners, people weren't talking about artistry anymore. They were talking liability, because Kendrick hadn't just gone after a rival, it turned over stones that everybody knew better than to touch. Deals that implicated executives, journalists, tastemakers. Whole scaffolding beams of the machine had been bent in public view, and just like that, the risk wasn't a single career. It was trust itself. Hip-hop had been chaotic before. Violent even. But this was surgical chaos. Cultural infrastructure, melting not from a gun, but from a verse. By midnight memes, shifted tone. No longer laughing at Drake. Now it was respect memes. Legacy memes? Some even felt sorry for him, like watching a titan quietly realize gravity doesn't negotiate. Meanwhile, Kendrick didn't post, didn't tweet, didn't stream live. His only move was a quiet story from @Kendrick Lamar, a black screen. With 3 words in white font, it's archived now. No emojis, no link. And in that silence, in that absence of gloating, the respect deepened. Not everyone liked it. Not everyone agreed with every revelation. But nobody could deny the same thing anymore. Something had ended. Something else had begun, and the chaos. The chaos wasn't screaming now. It was whispering. Like an empire realizing it just turned into history, and no one saw the exact moment it happened. Only the aftermath. The last run #KDOTVs DRIZZY #hip-hop history #crown tilts #it is archived at Kendrick Lamar @Champo Canopy @Billboard @Complex @No Jumper @HIPHOPDXSO. Now we're here. A hip-hop world still vibrating from shockwaves it never saw coming. Whether you ride for @Champagnapopy, salute @Kendrick Lamar, or just love the culture itself, one thing's crystal clear. This wasn't just music. This was a cultural pivot. The conversation has shifted permanently. The run that once looked untouchable is now being questioned in real time. And while some call it victory, others call it violence. What do you call it? Is this the end of an era, or the beginning of a new one? Did Kendrick Lamar just secure immortality, or did he trigger a storm that nobody, not even him, can fully control? Drop your takes. Tag your crew. Share this with every hip-hop head you know. The story isn't over. It's rewriting itself. Right now, and every one of us is watching history fold in real time. #hip-hop in chaos. #K.Streezy. #the last run at Kendrick Lamar.